What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. First, I want to say I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. If you celebrate, Happy Holidays. Hope you guys got everything you wanted, and I'm really looking forward to 2017. I got some great questions. I put a thumb up next to the questions I'll be answering on this episode of Boxing Egos Monday Mail Day, aka MMD. You guys know how it goes. Without further ado, Canelo Chavez Jr. negotiations week. Let's get into some questions. Now, the first question comes from Cruz Contred. In a match between Sullivan, Barrera, and Joe Smith Jr., who do you see winning, and do you think they have what it takes to be on the top of the division? I'd have to see more to say they can be on top, because I've seen little flaws in both. Joe Smith Jr. a bit wild. He lacks experience because Bernard Hopkins at age 51 was able to connect, and Bernard Hopkins, I'm going to be real, you guys can take it for what it's worth, not taking anything away from Joe Smith Jr. He was still the underdog. Bernard Hopkins could pull the rabbit out of the hat like he's done many a times to many a younger fighters. Felix Trinidad, I think, is younger than him. Kelly Pavlik, Tavoris Cloud, etc. So it was Joe Smith Jr.'s fight to lose, but I've seen some things that maybe a more accurate, more youthful power puncher, stronger guy could capitalize. Same thing with Sullivan Barrera. He got knocked down by Andre Ward and Shabransky. So, I mean, he could be countered and he could be knocked down. So, I don't know about top of the division because light heavyweight has some killers like Kovalev, like Andre Ward, but they can definitely do good, and they have been doing good in their career in this last year. So, I like the matchup. Barrera, Joe Smith Jr. As of right now, I would pick Sullivan Barrera, but I don't think it'll be, I could see him getting knocked down in that fight too. So I don't think it's an easy work or anything like that. But I like Barrera's power, and I think as a boxer, I think he has a little bit more tools, having that Cuban schooling and stuff. I think he can box better. Joe Smith Jr. is a good come forward fighter, but when he doesn't respect your power, I think he'll be more effective. Like, I don't know if he really respected Bernard Hopkins' power at age 51, right? Fonfara has decent pop, but I don't think Fonfara, I have to look at his resume, but I don't really recall him stopping anybody. He knocked Adonis Stevenson down, so I think he has respectable power, but I don't think he has power like the top light heavyweights, the Kovalevs, the Artur Beterbievs, the Sullivan Barreras, guys with Adonis Stevenson. You know what I mean? I don't think Fonfara is hitting like that, but you can't sleep on his power. Otherwise, he will break you down like he did Chavez Jr. or Nathan Cleverly, things like that. So I would lean towards Sullivan Barrera. It's still a good fight. Joe Smith Jr., I mean, most people picked against him in his last two fights, and he keeps winning. So who knows? But from what I've seen from both, which on the Joe Smith Jr. side is kind of light. I've only seen a couple of his fights. I literally, before the Fonfara, I hadn't really heard of him. You know what I mean? He has like an all-American name. So kind of based on where he's at right now and what I've seen, I would go off Sullivan Barrera, off more boxing ability and experience. But it's a good fight that I would definitely love to see, and it'll help the light heavyweight division. Next question is coming from Ferg FTW. Merry Christmas, Ego. Merry Christmas again to everybody. Two quick questions. One, are you going to Troy's next fight? He's fighting in January. I got to see where he's fighting. I don't know if it's in Mexico or if he got one out in the Bay. But I'll definitely try to go and give you guys coverage of that so you guys can see behind the scenes and see kind of what it takes to have a pro fight and preparation and stuff like that. So, yeah, I would love to go. Number two, what fight are you most excited for in 2017 and why? Out of the fights that have been named, there's a lot. Like, I want to see Klitschko Joshua, but for me, I would say Danny Garcia versus Keith Thurman, because that's a fight that gives everything. And what I mean by everything, Klitschko Joshua, I think that could be a good fight, but Klitschko's been on a long layoff. Klitschko looked like shit versus Tyson Fury to me. He didn't really show that championship level grit like he wanted to hold on to his belts. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. He might get in there with Joshua and start feeling that power and be like, no. What did he say on Friday? He's like, you want some of this too, old man? No. You know what I mean? He might get like that. Same thing with Joshua. Maybe he gets nervous. Who knows? But when I look at Thurman Garcia, I really don't see how that'll be bad. And what I mean by giving you everything is not just the fight itself. I think as we get closer to the fight date to March, I think the buildup is going to be intense. Either Danny Garcia is going to start talking slick or Angel Garcia. and then that's going to get Keith Thurman. I beat all the daddy's boys. Let me just, you know what I'm saying? And it's just going to be on and popping. Not to mention, when they actually fight, I think it'll be a good fight. So out of all the announced fights, Golovkin, Jacobs, and everything, there's some really good ones that I'm looking forward to. But I personally, Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton too, Mikey Garcia going for a title. There's a lot of good fights. I want to see Tank Davis go for a title with Jose Pedraza, BADOU, Jack, James DeGale. A lot of great fights already announced. But for me personally, right now, it's Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman. And it's another fight where somebody has to go. So those are always good. Klitschko has been knocked out before, and he lost his last fight, things like that. And most of the other equations aren't like that. Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton. Frampton already beat Leo Santa Cruz. So they're no longer both undefeated. Only one of them is. And that's kind of how it is. So that's my most anticipated fight at the moment. But that could change if there's another fight that's announced. But right now it's Garcia Thurman. Next question is Shahrukh Jalil. Who is a good opponent for Amir Khan's return? Me personally, I mean, there's a lot of good. I think Sean Porter would be a great fight, but I think that's more of a dangerous fight since he was brutally knocked out and been on a long layoff, had surgery with his hand. So if I'm Amir Khan's dad or manager, Al Heyman, or just looking at it from what's best for my fighter, I would say Lamont Peterson. I would go after Lamont Peterson. That was a fight that was already supposed to have a rematch, but then Peterson popped for the testosterone levels or whatever, and the fight got scrapped. But he's moving up to 47, I believe. I would like to see a rematch like that. And that's a guy he's not the most powerful guy. He'll be moving up. He has a strong win over Felix Diaz in a competitive fight. That's a good name on your resume. And then some people thought he beat Danny Garcia too. So he's just been inactive a bit since that. So I think that would be a good fight. Other than that, I would love to see Timothy Bradley. Peterson and Bradley are probably the best good fights with the best possible stylistic matchup and kind of to protect Khan, like chin wide. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying, after you get knocked out like that, I wouldn't go in against a massive puncher. But other than that, Kell Brook, I want to see if Khan wants that fight. But I just think Khan should fight a little bit lesser of a puncher coming off of a brutal knockout where you were knocked out with your eyes open. You know what I'm saying? And I think that would be like a Bradley or Peterson. But other fights I'm okay with is Sean Porter or who did I say? Sean Porter or Kell Brook. Next question. Mr. Curson, can you make a 7 reasons video of Nunes versus Rousey? I'm going to try to, but it's just really dependent on time. I want to get to 7 reasons for a lot. A lot of people think I'm afraid of risking my prediction streak, so I only make it for certain fights and dumb shit like that. No, I'm a one-man army for the most part. I do all my edits, I do all the graphics and stuff like that. So, and I do the commentary and the analysis, and you know what I mean? Sometimes I want to take a break, sometimes I'm doing other edits. So it's just really a matter of time for that particular fight, if I can get time to do it. I appreciate everyone that's donated. Stuff like that helps because I'm trying to get other people to help me in certain facets and things like my website and different things like that, so I could focus on some of the commentary things and the specials and segments that I do and that only I can do. You know what I'm saying? So a little bit of delegation. I appreciate all the donations and everything like that. So I'll try to. I think Nunes versus Rousey is a great fight. I think it's a dangerous fight for Ronda Rousey coming back, fighting a Brazilian striker. I think people sleep on, I mean, a lot of the Brazilians have pretty good ground games anyway. You know what I mean? Jiu-jitsu and stuff, and they're trained in that. So I think it'll be a tough fight, tough fight. Not sure who I'm leaning towards because Ronda Rousey, I don't really know where her head's at, and it's really hard. She gained a lot of weight. She was on Ellen crying. I really don't know, you know what I'm saying? I'm a bit worried for her, so it really kind of depends on where her head's at, and she needs to go back to the judo ASAP. I've seen her shadow boxing, trash, and Amanda Nunes can crack, and she can strike, and she's confident because she's the champion, and she beat the shit out of Miesha Tate. So I think it's a good fight. It's really a toss-up, just depending on Amanda Nunes. Even though she beat Miesha Tate had been beat several times, just lost her last fight and retired, stuff like that. I think she had an exhibition fight, but I'm talking about in the UFC. So that's good experience, a good name for her resume, good cap in the hat. but she's still green compared to Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey was on top for a while, so it's anybody's fight to me. So I'll try to make one if I have time. Next question, Paulie G17. Ego, hope you had a great Christmas. I did. Here's my question. I know as a community of boxing fans, we talk about future fights we all want to see all the time, but if Triple G was to demolish Danny Jacobs, what would you as a boxing fan want to see him do next? Move up to super middleweight or hang around at 160 for Canelo or even CHARLO? Thanks for another great year of boxing coverage. You're a credit to your subs. Hashtag 2017 garlic butter, no doubt. Garlic butter all day, garlic butter forever. Thank you for that last portion. Me personally, I mean, I consider Jacobs to be the number 2 person in the middleweight division. So if he beats him, then it's true, like most of us believe, Triple G is the current best middleweight. As far as the Canelo fight, if they can make it without pussyfooting, I don't even care who's to blame at this point. I really don't. You blame Oscar, Golden Boy, blame K2, Tom Loeffler, I just want to see the fight. So my thing is, you don't want to backtrack. You fight Danny Jacobs, you're 34, you knock him out or demolish him. Like you said, hypothetically, if he demolishes Jacobs, then if you can't get the Canelo fight or Chavez Jr., those are about the only fights that I really want to see. Well, actually, the Chavez wouldn't even be at 160. I don't think he can make 160 anymore. So, yeah, if you can't get Canelo in a speedy, timely fashion, like De La Hoya's promised on ESPN First Take, then, yeah, I would definitely love to see him move up. At least move up for a fight Gilberto Ramirez or Jack DeGale winner, and then maybe the Canelo fight opens up. I don't know. But I don't think he should wait around. They said Golovkin may fight like 3 times a year. He's been pretty active, so you don't just beat Jacobs and demolish him and then just sit on the shelf or go back to fighting Adamas and the Gay Rosados and, you know what I mean, guys that have losses and people have never heard of them, like the Dominique Wades and stuff like that. So I just hope if he does demolish Jacobs, he's catapulted. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. Like, people don't understand this. Golovkin is currently not a big superstar, and I'm going to tell you how. He's popular. There's a difference because some people you could be popular. Like people on YouTube, you go to his videos, you'll see a lot of people like, yeah, Triple G, fuck yeah, but they're not tuning into his fights. You know what I mean? They're not paying for his fight. He's never done, and he only had one opportunity, but in that one opportunity, he's never done Canelo Alvarez pay-per-view numbers, which is 300,000+. Canelo, even if you take out the Canelo Mayweather, which was obviously both of them joining forces and 2 undefeated fighters, it did 2.2 million. But even if you remove that, his other pay-per-views with Angulo, Lara, Khan, and Liam Smith all did in the neighborhood of 300 to 375,000, somewhere right around there. You know what I'm saying? Golovkin's first outing against David Lemieux, which is a fight people said they wanted to see, it really did like 96 to 150,000, which is half, right? And this, people don't understand that if you're truly a pay-per-view star, it's usually full steam ahead. You don't usually go to pay-per-view and then regress and then your next fight isn't pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at Mayweather, after he fought De La Hoya, he was never on HBO again, never on regular Showtime again. It was just full steam ahead. Same thing with Pacquiao. Once he became a pay-per-view draw, maybe the game was different back then. I don't know. Because Canelo, he did the same thing. He fought Kirkland and whatnot. But they've at least put him on pay-per-view more times. Now they're putting Jacobs on. That's a good fight. That's a intriguing fight. So hopefully the numbers do good in that particular fight. But I don't think Canelo or Triple G should backtrack after the Jacobs fight. If he beats him, easy work, then onwards and upwards. Next question, random commenter. Hey Ego, love your channel. Thank you. Keep up the great work. Hope you had a great Christmas. Yes, I did. What matchups would you like to see in 2017? Oh, there's a ton. I want to see Deontay Wilder versus Klitschko Joshua winner. If it's not Wilder, I want to see Luis King Kong Ortiz versus that person. Maybe if Tyson Fury cleans up his act versus Deontay Wilder. I really like the heavyweight division nowadays. It's a lot of people in there at least trying to make buzz and noise, and a lot of them have knockout power. Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia winner versus another top person, maybe like a Kell Brook, Amir Khan. there's a ton of fights I could think of. I want to see Lomachenko Gamboa. I think that's a good fight. I mean, Lomachenko, he seems very hard to beat. Maybe Lomachenko Salido too, to see if he can bury the hatchet in that particular fight. Garrett Russell Jr. versus, maybe if he moves up and fights like a Leo Santa Cruz, Abner Mares. I mean, there's a ton of fights that I want to see. Rigondeaux versus somebody of note, because they're ducking him. So off the top of my head, those are fights. Ward Kovalev 2, Beterbiev versus top light heavyweights, Adonis Stevenson Kovalev, Beterbiev Stevenson. I mean, there's so many. I can do the matchmaking shit all day. There's a ton of people. I want to see Sean Porter versus a top welterweight, Tim Bradley. I'd even want to see Sean Porter versus Andre Berto. You know what I mean? He's coming off of a good win versus Victor Ortiz and whatnot. So those are the ones that kind of stand out off of a freestyle. You guys can add some if you think of other ones that you want to see. Next question is from Crossroad King. What up, Ego? I need your help in proving the haters wrong. Uh-oh. Can any active welterweight fighters in their last 5 fights say they fought better competition than Floyd Mayweather in his last fights? You already know the answer to that. I mean, bottom line, hell no. Because this is too easy, but I'm not gonna do the extra footwork. We all know the answer to that is no. You know what I'm saying? And off the top of my head, there's no welterweight that could say it. You know what I mean? Because you look at it, guys like Keith Thurman, who has he fought in his last fights? Luis Collazo, Robert Guerrero, who Mayweather had already beat, right? Who had already lost before even Mayweather. He fought Sean Porter, and he's fighting Danny Garcia, but he hasn't had that fight yet. So, you know what I mean? You look at his, you probably have Julio Diaz is probably one of his last 5 fights. Danny Garcia, he fought Lamont Peterson at a catchweight, and a lot of people thought he lost that fight. Peterson had been stopped by Matisse. He had beat, or I think he had a draw with Victor Ortiz, but he had lost, well, some people thought he lost to Khan, etc. Danny Garcia probably in his last fights had Rod Salka. He had Robert Guerrero after Thurman had beat up on him, Paulie Malignaggi, and Samuel Vargas. You know what I'm saying? Name of Samuel Vargas. People were mad as fuck that Floyd fought Berto, but Samuel Vargas, you know what I'm saying? Berto would beat the shit out of Samuel Vargas. Straight up. You know what I mean? There's no one on Floyd's last 5 fights, or probably in any of his fights since he became a champion, that is really on the Rod Salka, Samuel Vargas level per division. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, Kell Brook, you can't even say if you're talking welterweight fights, you can't even say the Triple G fight. So you would have to look at Sean Porter, Jojo Dan is mandatory allegedly, Kevin Bezier, and Frankie Gavin. You know what I'm saying? So the answer to your question is easy. Pacquiao, Jesse Vargas, Tim Bradley a gang of times, Chris Algieri, Brandon Rios off of a loss. Chris Algieri had never fought at the full 140. Well, they fought at a catchweight, but he had never fought over 140. And his last fight before the Pacquiao fight, he became a champion via split decision over Ruslan Provodnikov. You know what I mean? Floyd got his contemporary on his resume, the guy who's considered equal or greater than him. And people like Max Kellerman still say he's greater, even though he lost and landed 71 punches and had a bum shoulder, and that's Manny Pacquiao. Floyd beat him. Floyd beat Cotto. He beat Guerrero. He beat undefeated champion Canelo, right? He beat Berto, and he beat Pacquiao, and he beat Maidana twice. You know what I'm saying? Those are all tough fights. You throw any Maidana at Kell Brook and see Kell Brook beat him twice. You know what I'm saying? And maybe he can, maybe he can't. Keith Thurman. I always want to see that, Maidana and Keith Thurman. So, yeah, there's no welterweight out there who in their last 5 or so fights has fought better competition than Mayweather. Easy work. You know what I mean? Because Keith Thurman ain't fought Pacquiao. Danny Garcia haven't fought Pacquiao. Kell Brook ain't fought Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? So what other welterweight is there that has fought? Amir Khan, he fought Collazo at welterweight. He fought Devin Alexander, who had already recently lost to Sean Porter. and was no longer a champion. And then who else did he fight? He fought Chris Algieri off of a loss to Manny Pacquiao where he got knocked down 6 times. And this is all off the top of the head, and I can think of this. So yeah, you already know the answer to that question. Next question is from Alvaro Casillas. Do you think Canelo will get praised if he beats Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.? He probably will. It really, to me, it depends on how he beats him. If he beats him a la Erislandy Lara, then he's not going to get praised, obviously, because that was a close fight and it's up to interpretation. Some people thought he lost that fight. But if he stopped Canelo, yeah, he's going to get praised. If he beat the shit out of Canelo and like dogged him like Angulo or something, he'll get praised. Canelo is big, and this is kind of a fight for bragging rights and stuff like that. So yeah, I think he'll get praised if he has a dominant win. If it's a tough, up to interpretation, split decision win, then you're not going to get praised off something like that, because then you're going to have people split. It's like Danny Garcia. Did he get praised versus Mauricio Herrera or Lamont Peterson? No, because people thought he lost that fight. Canelo didn't get praised for Erislandy Lara because it was contested. People aren't praising Andre Ward for the Kovalev because it was contested. Some people thought he lost the fight. So yeah, it just depends on how he wins. So he would have to put out a good performance to get praised. Next question is from Francisco Ochoa. What threat is bigger, Danny Jacobs to Triple G or Chavez Jr. to Canelo? Moving up 10 pounds is no easy task, and Julio is big as fuck. Pause. He is big as fuck. Pause. I think Chavez to Canelo is the bigger challenge, because Triple G and Jacobs, they're both power punchers, but they're in the same division already. Triple G has already fought. He hasn't fought the greatest of competition, but he's fought Curtis Stevens, who has some power, and he's also fought David Lemieux, and he's also fought people in that division, actual middleweights, aside from the people that he fought that weren't middleweights, like Kell Brook, Gabe Rosado, Ishida. He still fought some actual people who had been fighting at middleweight. So I would say Chavez Jr. to Canelo. He's a pressure fighter. He has a hell of a chin, and it's for bragging rights. So I think it's, you know what I mean, Chavez Jr. probably, I'm sure he reads comments and stuff, you know what I mean, all the hate people have, and people, he wants the approval from Mexico. So it's going to be a fight where I think he's going to actually try. And Canelo, just moving up, if you're moving up that much weight, then yeah, your fight is tougher, because moving up 11 pounds or whatnot, he just fought at 54 versus Liam Smith. That puts you at a deficit. Just like you look at Kell Brook. Kell Brook held his own, but he moved up 13 pounds, and we seen what happened. The end, he got his eye socket broken or fractured or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's always more of an uphill battle for the guy moving up. Amir Khan moved up, fought Canelo, got stretched. He did good. The moment he made a mistake, bow, lights out. So I would say Chavez Jr. versus Canelo. This man, Chavez Jr., looks like he rehydrates to 195, 189 or some shit. So yeah, for I would say Canelo's fight, if that does in fact happen. Next question is from Samir Makutar. Hey Ego, great work, and I'm a big fan from the UK. Shout out to all my British fans. Shout out to the UK. Can't wait to go back. My question is, if James DeGale beats BADOU Jack, he said he wouldn't mind moving to 160 to fight Triple G. So who do you think would win that fight? In that fight, I never heard that. I heard he was open to make the fight, but I didn't think at no 160. So at 160, I'm picking Triple G. You know what I mean? Because I've seen when people put pressure on James DeGale, like Andre Darrell was, and who was the? I think it was Lucien Boutte, or one of them. He didn't look that great. I thought BADOU Jack beat Lucien Boutte better than James DeGale. So at 160, I would pick Triple G. That's his territory. I don't know. James DeGale looks pretty big, so him dropping another 8 pounds, he's in another man's territory. If it's at 168, that's a different conversation. But I never heard James DeGale said, hey, I'm a super middleweight, I'm going down to middleweight. But hey, if he decided to do that, I think that's kind of foolish for him. It's always easier to add weight than to lose weight. I mean, you still got to, if you add weight, you got to worry about getting knocked out, or stronger guys up there, tougher guys. But for your body's sake, you know what I mean? Once you get to a certain part and you haven't, if you've been making 168 and cutting from 185, let's say, to make 168, now you're cutting from 185 to get down 8 more pounds. That's crucial. So at 160, I'm picking Triple G, because I don't even think it. I mean, that's the same thing people talking about. Why do you think? You guys got to understand weight, man. I'm going to tell you how this game goes. I'm going to tell you what I speak my mind. I speak from my heart. I'm real. Why do you think Gennady Golovkin and his team has said that they'll fight anybody from 154 to 168, yet at 168 they only wanted to fight certain people, like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. or Carl Froch, or at 54 they only wanted to fight certain people like Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, because they know moving weight is no joke. You know what I'm saying? Moving down in weight to 54, you want to fight Pacquiao, who's tiny. Some of his fights he rehydrates at like 151 or some shit. He's short. You know what I mean? You'll fight him, or you want to fight Floyd, who's not the biggest puncher at welterweight because you feel it's safer, but you didn't want to fight Cotto or Canelo at 54. I mean, it's a telltale sign. Same thing with Canelo. Why do you think he's willing to entertain and send a contract to Chavez Jr. to fight him at 165, but he don't want to fight Golovkin? At first, he didn't want to fight Golovkin at 160. That's 5 pounds less. That's because Chavez Jr. doesn't have an amateur background. He lacks discipline, and you probably feel that's an easier fight and a big money fight that you can go in there and chop up Chavez Jr. more so easy, like in a more easy fashion than Golovkin. Golovkin would be some work. So that's why making weight is different. So James DeGale, I don't know what he looks like at 160, so I'm picking Golovkin. Hey, no, guys. Next question, Wrath of Scorpius. Hey, Ego, besides Cotto, who is Canelo Alvarez, in your opinion, most significant victory? Tough. I guess I would say Edeslani Lara, even though I got to watch it again maybe, but I thought he did some good work, and I think he learned from the Floyd loss because he did turn it up and started demolishing Edeslani Lara's body to the point that I know it affected Lara, because Lara started abandoning his offense and retreating. I just think Lara had them early rounds in the bank, so it just made for a close fight. But I gave it to Lara by 1 or 2 rounds. I gotta watch it again. So I guess I would say, if we're not talking Cotto, I would say that would be his next biggest, because I mean, who else is there? He lost to Floyd, so that's not a victory. Angulo, who was, I think they were both coming off losses. Edeslani Lara had stopped Angulo, and he had that shit, that Quaid, that from Total Recall. He had that shit growing from his head. Quaid, open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind. Get to the reactor, Quaid. Ah, what are you doing? Give these people air. I don't know about Total Recall. So yeah, I'm saying Lara, I guess, even though I thought he lost the fight. It's just he won on paper, and he was competitive, and that where Edeslani Lara was and is in the division, I'm picking that. Shane Mosley was like 40, 41 years old. Josecito Lopez, undersized. Matthew Hatton and Ryan Rose, kind of undersized guys. So yeah. Oh, actually, Austin Trout. It would be between Edeslani Lara and Austin Trout. Austin Trout was undefeated southpaw. A lot of people thought Trout could give him that work, and was coming off of the Cotto win. So yeah, I forgot about that. I would say it might be Austin Trout, because that was an undefeated fighter. So it's either Trout or Lara. Next question. Frederick Cotton. Demetrius Andre Boo Boo, is he the best at 154? I mean, he has to get a little bit more active. That's my dude. Shout out to Boo Boo. He has to get more active and prove it, but I think he definitely has the tools to be one of the best. He has to, actually, some people have to take him up on his offer, like Canelo. You know what I'm saying? He has to fight Canelo if Canelo's going to be in the division. Maybe the Jamal Charlo, if he beats him, then he's clearly the best. Or Lara. But again, those guys have to take the fight. But from the eye test, yeah, I think he's definitely, I have him at number 1 or 2. I don't know. I don't really know who would beat him. So yeah, I think he definitely has it to be the best. Next question, Keith Mathis, one fresh to death. Ego, my bro, you work very hard. Just wondering if you ever take breaks. No, I don't. I mean, I take breaks. I have fun, enjoy my life, and enjoy my YouTube paycheck. Eat good. I got to get back in the gym, so I take breaks. But I mean, this is a job. So like this, I don't treat this lightly. I don't treat this like, when I first started, this was just a hobby for me, and I treated it like that. You know what I mean? I had a regular job and stuff like that. And then I seen there was a need for it. People wanted boxing news and wanted my opinion, and this is up my alley. I get to be my own boss and stuff. So I treat it like a job. This is a brand. This is a business. This is a small business. On my taxes, I gotta, you know what I mean? I have to itemize things and stuff like that. So this is real life. So I take breaks as needed. You know what I mean? Everybody's always healthy. Life requires balance. So you got to take breaks as needed so you don't burn yourself out. So I take baby breaks and do stuff. You got to know your body. You got to know you. If you feel like you're reaching that breaking point where you're about to burn out and not be productive, then you got to pull back and be like, yeah, I'm taking the day off or whatever. And thank God that I'm in the industry and I work to a degree where I can do those things and mandate my own schedule, be my own boss, and say, you know what, I got to pull back. And there's some days I do that. So it just requires planning and knowing your body. You still got to have fun with life and enjoy. And actually, what is the saying? Like, if you do what you love, then you'll never have to work a day in your life. That's kind of true. I mean, I've always been a fan of boxing. I love creativity, and I've always been a creative individual and stuff like that. So going to cover the fights, it's work. Trust me, it's work, because after the fights, most people get to like, oh, you see that person get knocked out? Let's get something to eat. I don't get to eat. You know what I'm saying? I got to go work on my website, write an article, do a post-fight video, or, you know what I mean, catch an Uber to somewhere with Wi-Fi. So it's work, because like I said, after a fun fight, you just want to just chill and veg out and relax, go get something to drink or eat or what, you know what I'm saying? You don't always get to do that, but it comes with the territory. Work hard, play hard. Next question, Armando Felix. Do you have any idea where the fight might take place if it indeed does happen? And I'm assuming, since the title of this video is about Canelo Chavez Jr., I'm assuming you're talking about that fight. I don't know. They're still in negotiations. We don't even know if we have a fight. So clearly we're not going to know the venue or anything like that, because Chavez Jr. has to accept the terms offered or counter offer and all that stuff. But if I had to take an educated guess, I would say Las Vegas or Texas. And I think Texas is a strong possibility. Jerry Jones has been involved in boxing, you know what I mean? The Kirkland Coco, who the fuck is Coco? Yeah, Coco Beware coming back. The Kirkland Cotto fight is happening at the Dallas Cowboys training facility. So that's Jerry Jones. And Liam Smith versus Canelo, that was Jerry Jones. You know what I mean? That was at the AT&T Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. So he's been having his hand in it. So I know he would, if Chavez Jr., if you wanted the Canelo Liam Smith fight, why would you not want to make an offer or want the Canelo Chavez Jr. fight in Texas, where there's a high Hispanic population? That's just common sense. So I think Texas is a strong likelihood, more so than anywhere else, if not then one of the Meccas, which would be Las Vegas. I think New York, but I mean, to me, that's kind of missing the mark. New York, they have Latinos and they have diehard boxing fans, but it is more of like a mixed population. You have a lot of like Cuban, Dominican, Puerto Rican, black, white, you know what I'm saying? Versus Texas, there's a lot of like El Paso. I mean, you listen to the names of places in Texas, and they're from, a lot of them were founded by Mexican, you know what I'm saying? El Paso, that's why it's called El Paso, Texas, you know what I'm saying? So I think that would be an ideal spot. I don't know though. That's just my speculation based on the star power and where it would make the most money. And boxing is a business. Next question is from Crown Royale. What up, Ego? Happy holidays, bro. Much appreciation to you and all the content you put out for us on the regular. No problem. Coming up in a Hispanic family, fights like these are huge, clearly, and they don't come that often. Do you think it's smart that Canelo jumps up in weight to fight Chavez as a preparation fight for Triple G? Yes. The way I see it, if Canelo beats Chavez convincingly, his confidence should be extremely high when he fights Golovkin. Yes, that Troy King, shout out to my dude Killertainment. Follow him on Instagram at Killertainment. He's actually the one that put it in that perspective in an interview. And the videos on the page, he said the video's titled something like Canelo Alvarez is very smart. And what he said makes a lot of sense, and it sounds like you're saying the same thing. Canelo versus Chavez has the same impact that Mayweather Pacquiao had on the world, only throughout Mexico. Look for Mexico to stop on May 5th if this fight truly goes down. Merry Christmas, Ego. Merry Christmas to everybody. Feliz Navidad. And I agree with you. It's a big fight. I told you guys before, some people are like, oh, this is bullshit fight. I want to see it. And I'm rarely opposed to fights that are big for the sport of boxing. And without a doubt, in my mind, if you take the biggest Mexican boxer that's currently active in fucking Canelo, and you put him against a guy with the namesake that his dad has, Julio Cesar Chavez. It's not Omar Chavez. He has the same exact name with a junior by it. And it's big. It's a big blockbuster type of fight. But going back to what you're saying, it does give him confidence. If you fight anybody 5 pounds heavier and then you come down, that's acceptable. It's harder to come, like I said earlier, James DeGale going from 68 and fighting all these consecutive fights at 68 and then all of a sudden going down to fight a fighter like Triple G at 160. That's 8 pounds less. That's not smart. But 5 pounds, that's not that bad. You know what I'm saying? If Canelo, because he's moving up. You know what I mean? That's like Kell Brook can fight at 54 probably next. He already moved up to the 160. So he could probably just drop down to 54 and be all right, body-wise. So, yeah, it's a big fight, and it should boost Canelo's confidence if he goes in there and chops Chavez Jr. up. Him and Golovkin have a similar style. I think Golovkin has more finesse and more of a purpose in how he delivers it. But Chavez Jr. is an underrated body puncher. His chin is tough as fuck. Like, you don't really see him get. Andy Lee got cracks. You've seen Andy Lee knock out Korobov and John Jackson in a fight he was losing, and he just did it out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So Andy Lee got cracks, and Chavez Jr. was like egging him on, like with his gloves, like come on. And Andy Lee was winning that fight at first, the first round, and Chavez Jr. was just like nope. And not to mention, Chavez Jr. got a DUI in that training camp. I think he was in Miami or something. He got a DUI. So I don't even know if he was training like he should have been doing, but he beat the shit out of Andy Lee in the end and broke him down. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Chavez Jr. is tough. That'll definitely give Canelo confidence. And like you're saying, and like I've said in past videos, that Mexican rivalry is enough to push the winner's confidence even more, because this is for bragging rights. Anytime you have a territorial fight like Oscar De La Hoya versus Fernando Vargas, or Barrera versus Eric Morales, or even Amir Khan versus Kell Brook, a UK domestic rivalry, even the Tony Bellew, David Haye, those types of fights, they mean more to the winner because you did it for your region, and it's like for bragging rights, like, oh, I can go back to England now, I'm David Haye, I just knocked out Bellew, vice versa. So yeah, it'll be big for Canelo's confidence, and it'll show, you know what I mean, he might get in there and start feeling way better, because Canelo's big, he rehydrates big, he looked way bigger than Cotto, you know what I'm saying? Even though he fought Mayweather at a catchweight, he still outweighed Mayweather on fight night by like 15 pounds. He was like 23 then. He's 3 years older now. So he's a big dude. So he might get in there and start feeling like, man, I'm not even tired. You know what I'm saying? It might be an improvement. So if he goes in there and feels too good versus Chavez Jr., he might go in uber confident to Golovkin fight. So that's just my thoughts on it. Next question is from Luis Mercado Mora. Canelo's gonna move up to super middleweight to face a decent fighter who can crack and have a great chin and still get bullshit for fans. I would love to see Golovkin to move up 2 fucking divisions and face a decent fighter in that weight. Shaking my head with these boxing fans. And like I said, I told you guys, I'm not nitpicking it. It's a big fight for boxing. It's a dangerous fight for Canelo if he's gonna move up all that 11 pounds. That's not easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Golovkin seems to want to stay put and unify, which is cool, but you can't get the fights you want. You're 34 years old. Canelo's like 26 and got a better resume. So, you know what I'm saying? You can only be so hard. And that's a hell of a step up in terms of class and like threat level than Liam Smith to me. I didn't even know who Liam Smith was. I didn't even know he was related to Paul Smith, and I covered Paul Smith fight versus Andre Ward. I had no idea. So yeah, it's a dangerous fight. If you really break it down, it's a dangerous fight if Canelo goes in there and fights Chavez Jr.'s big ass. Next question is KD Reynolds. Great work on the channel, Ego. Thank you. My question is, who would you like to see Shannon Briggs fight And what would you like to see from Broner in 2017? Start with Briggs. Let's go, champ. Look at him. I just want to see Briggs fight for the regular version of the WBA title that he was going to fight Lucas Brown for. And just against a top name like Bryant Jennings, Kubrat Pulev, or somebody like that. I don't know if Lucas Brown's going to have this magical drug test like Alexander Povetkin seems to be having, failing drug tests, and then his other tests are coming clean. So I don't know. Maybe Lucas Brown will be okay to fight, and maybe we can get to see that. I don't know. But I just want to see a top-level guy versus Shannon Briggs for that WBA regular title like he was promised. I think he definitely worked hard for it. Maybe fight the Bellew, David Haye winner, something like that. And that's what I want to see. For Broner, what do I want to see from him in 2017? I just want to see a no bullshit focused Broner. He has the opportunity. He lost to Porter, lost to Maidana, and he's won every other fight. He has coming off a good win versus Ashley Theophane, the first person to stop him. I just want to see him focused and dedicated. Right now, he has an about billions fighter who is looking like a monster, and that's Robert Easter Jr. He's having a fight at Toledo. So just like really be the general, be the captain of the ship, and you know what I mean, and be taking it serious. Your fighter's taking it serious. Easter Jr. is taking his career serious. So let's see the best of Broner. Let's see what he got. I would love to see Broner versus Crawford or a fight like that. I think that's good. Even Victor Postal versus Broner. See how he deals with a boxer who's that much probably taller than him. And I just want to see him come back correct, come back focused. And stay out of trouble. That's what I want to see from Broner. Next question, Motion Alex. He has two. You think Canelo will face a lot of backlash for saying that he wasn't ready to move up to 160, but then actually skipping 160 and fighting in 165? I mean, it definitely looks like a duck, despite the fact that Triple G has too big of an ego, not wanting to accept 15 mil. I mean, a fighter's going to accept backlash anyway. And again, if he's doing it, they're saying Canelo may fight 3 times this year. Chavez Jr., Triple G, and Cotto. I'm not going to hate on him for that. Chavez Jr. is a big money fight. It's for Mexican bragging rights, or Mexico bragging rights, and it'll help prepare you for Golovkin. And if you fight Golovkin after, then that'll shut people up. And if you beat Golovkin, that'll really shut people up. So he'll probably receive backlash because it doesn't make sense. Like, why'd you want to pull Golovkin down to 55 at a point in time, and now you'll fight him at 160, but you won't fight him right away, but you want to fight Chavez Jr., who's limited and undisciplined at 165. So he'll get backlash, but I think all that would be forgotten if he does what he thinks he can do, and that's beat Triple G and beat Chavez Jr. Look at example. See, I'll be coming up with some analogies for you guys. Jamal Charlo, they said he was afraid of Julian J. Rock Jackson. Julian J. Rock Jackson, he had a win, and he was like, I'm your mandatory. You a turkey. Stop being a turkey. Stop ducking me. Or he said something like that post-fight, and he was like, you a turkey. Glove up. Said something like that. Did all that, called him out. Fans were on J. Rock's side, saying he's next, he's undefeated. He's still a good fighter. And then Jamal went in there and silenced the crowd, the people who were saying that. Now, what does it look like? Again, it gets forgotten. What are you going to say? Jamal Charlo, even though he knocked J-Rock down with the jab, pretty much dominated the fight, and then had a brutal, nasty, swift-ass uppercut to end the fight, and had J-Rock on Queer Street, you're going to say he's still ducking? You know what I'm saying? Floyd stepped up and fought Pacquiao. You still going to say he's ducking after he made Pacquiao look like shit and land 71 punches? So I think Canelo will experience some backlash, but if he beats these guys, then people will be soon to and quick to forget. You know what I'm saying? What are you going to say if he beats Triple G? Oh, you still ducking. You waited too long. And you know what I'm saying? Triple G wasn't the same. You know, what are you going to say at that point? And the second question, Motion Alex. Ego, tell me your thoughts on this little theory I got. If the fight happens, Canelo's big ass, born ready ass will most likely rehydrate to 170, but Chavez will have to drain the living crap of himself to make 165. But on the night, he will also be 170. I doubt that. So they'll both weigh in the same in the ring, but Born Ready will feel very comfortable while Junior will look like a skeleton. You think that's what Team Canelo might have in mind? Nah, I don't agree with that. I don't think that is the case at all. Reason being, because your body's not stupid. A very complex machine. If Chavez Jr. might look ghastly and look like Skeletor, it's over for you. You know what I mean? He might look like Skeletor at the weigh-in, but when your body rehydrates, it's going to naturally do what it feels it should be doing, which is going to balloon back up. And I've seen that. I've seen guys where like they kill themselves to make weight, and then the very next day they rehydrate like nothing happened. You know what I'm saying? So if Chavez, I mean, that's happened in Chavez Jr. fight. He'll look like shit at the weigh-in and look ghastly, cheekbones look like the machinist Christian Bale, and then come fight night he looks full and he looks replenished and back. So I don't think that. And then the fact that he just fought Dominic Britch in Mexico at 168, made weight, didn't really have any problems. Him making another 3 pounds, if he does it the right way, nutrition wise, ain't bullshitting, eating out In-N-Out burger and shit, then I don't think that. I don't think that he'll be super drained. If he was on the layoff when he had that issue with Top Rank, the lawsuit, and then he tried to come back and kill himself to make weight, that's something different. But he just literally just fought. And on the night of Anthony Joshua, Eric Molina, just fought. And he made 168, so this is only 3 pounds. You know what I mean? And he already knows about the Canelo fight might happen. So he has plenty of time. This is Cinco de Mayo. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's talking about fighting him in January. It's Cinco de Mayo. He has plenty of time to control and moderate his weight to make that. So I don't really think Canelo's team's looking that far into it like, yeah, we got him. This is a lot of time to promote the fight. A lot. You know what I mean? Cinco de Mayo, we're not even in January. That's January, February, March, April, May. That's 5 months. And he just fought where he made 168. So I don't agree. I don't think that's I don't agree with the theory. I don't think that's what they're looking to do. And I definitely don't think Chavez Jr. would only rehydrate to 170 just like Canelo. And I don't even think Canelo will rehydrate to 170. Canelo's pretty big. I think he's looking at 173, 175, 176 when I've seen him in some of his fights. Next question is from Greg Sanders. What's next for Adonis Stevenson? Hopefully somebody. I want to see him fight Joe Smith Jr., Sullivan Barrera, or Leader Alvarez. I think those are all good fights. Obviously, the Kovalev fight is a fight I want to see for a while, but Kovalev has unfinished business with Andre Ward. So those are also names for him to fight next. And I don't know if that's next, but that's what I would personally like. Next question is from Kenny Flo. Who you got, Canelo, Chavez? I don't know. I really don't know, because it's a lot of weight. I would probably pick Canelo off of skill set, but I'd have to see how his power looked. You know what I'm saying? So you guys can't hold me to any of these predictions. If any of these fights are made official, then I will do an official prediction. But this is just off the top of my head because a lot of you guys still ask for prediction. So off of skill set, I would pick Canelo, but his power has to be able to move up and stuff, because some guys move up and their power don't move up. Broner was the man at 135. He moved up to 147, moved up too much weight too quick, and his power didn't look the same until the Sean Porter fight where he knocked him down. But his power didn't look the same versus Paulie and versus Maidana. And then he dropped back down and moved back up later, and then he was able to knock a welterweight down. But I picked Canelo based on what I've seen, more discipline in the skill set, but I don't think it's a gimme fight at 65. Lomachenko, Salido too. Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko almost stopped Salido in the second fight. Salido has one mode. He's a good fighter. He's a veteran. Power, lots of experience, tough, heart, fights dirty. He'll do anything to win kind of guy. But at the end of the day, Lomachenko is improving, more skills, is more variety, and I think he's going to have learned from the first fight. And it's hard for lightning to strike twice in the same spot. And Salido was favored to lose based on who Lomachenko is supposed to be, and he won. I just don't see it happening again. I think Lomachenko is going to come correct. Lomachenko is going to have a game plan for everything. Lomachenko fought Salido his second pro fight, which was stupid, but his team felt he was ready. And one thing they didn't account for is Salido missing weight, fighting dirty, the ref not doing anything to intervene. I just don't see all those same things falling into place just like the first one. And I think Lomachenko is a more skilled fighter. And Salido's been in dumbass wars. Rocky Martinez fights, this last fight with Francisco Vargas. So, I mean, he's just always in wars. Lomachenko is the fresher fighter, so I'm rocking with the boy High Tech, Loma. And Kovalev, Joe Smith Jr., I'm picking Kovalev. I like Joe Smith Jr. Maybe he could prove me wrong. It's power versus power. Kovalev has better technique, better boxer. His jab was stopping Ward in his tracks. Ward went to showboat, and Kovalev was like, okay, bah, piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? So Kovalev's just a better boxer. Joe Smith Jr., you can't sleep on him. Anytime you got power, you might be able to pull something away. But in terms of experience, Kovalev has it. In terms of power, he has that. And in terms of better boxing IQ, ring IQ, and boxing ability, Kovalev. Those are my picks. Next question. Deron Heron. Damn, your name almost rhymes. That scared me a little bit. Ego, man, love your channel. Thank you. I see shows like First Take and Undisputed, and given your sense of humor and well-rounded knowledge of major sports, would you ever consider doing or joining a show like those? I could see an uncensored First Take-like show, LOL. I mean, money talks, so it really depends on what they're talking about, what network. I mean, preferably don't put me next to Skip Bayless, because I'll ether him like Nas did. Fuck Jay-Z. Like, just don't be talking that. Skip be saying some stupid shit. So I'd have to keep checking him. And but yeah, money talks. I'm a businessman. So I'm always open for new endeavors and expanding the brand or whatever. So if it makes sense, yeah. But if it don't, like, you know what I mean, then I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm comfortable. So I would just do that. But it just depends on the situation. Next question is from Joseph Reyes. Ego, great work on all the great content. Enjoy the holidays. You too. Happy holidays. What's your favorite sanctioning body, aka belt strap? I gotta say the WBC. I think when they have conventions, a lot of people show up. They seem very nice. There's only one mistake I seen. They had a poster of, the picture had Errol Spence Jr. and it said Jermall Charlo. It said WBC champion Jermall Charlo. Like, so someone really dropped the ball. But all in all, I think the WBC, I think they're probably one of the most transparent. When AMIR Khan is fighting for Canelo, like, I talked to SULLIVAN in Vegas and he was pretty upfront, like, hey, this is gonna happen. AMIR Khan doesn't lose his spot to Danny Garcia at welterweight. We made an exception. Canelo has to fight Golovkin. There, you know what I mean? He didn't bullshit. He was straightforward about the protocol and what this meant and what that meant, and he was willing to talk to the media. So I would say the WBC. I just rock with the green belt. I think the green belt means the most, and I like the organization. Rest in peace to Sullivan, Jose. I like the WBC. I like how they get down. I like their belts look cool. They come up with special belts. The diamond encrusted emeritus belt. You know what I'm saying? The gauntlet belt. You know what I mean? The Thanos belt. Masters of the Universe. Yeah, so I like the WBC. That's what I'm picking. Next question. Owen Brown. Ego. I honestly think one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason, boxing struggles in America is simply because who we have spearheading the media coverage. That could be true. New media. Currently, we have Dan Rafael, who works at the biggest and most powerful sports engine in the world, ESPN. Rafael is very negative, very biased, agenda-driven, and just has totally no energy and I know I don't have no energy, and motivation whatsoever. What's your thoughts, Ego? And what do you think can change the climate of boxing in America and bring it back to yesteryear? Thanks. That's a good question. You see, y'all be asking some good questions, put me on the spot. Sometimes I don't even read the whole question, and then I put the thumb up, and then I read it. I'm like, oh shit, okay, you think you could do this to me, huh? Bring boxing back to the forefront. Fans, I think it really starts with the fans, what we accept. You know what I mean? If there's fights like Canelo, Liam Smith, or whatever that doesn't have any place, no one requested it, and there's top level guys like Demetrius Andre, Jermall Charlo, Julian J. Rock, Jermell Charlo, Lada rematch, and there's fights that need to happen, Canelo and Golovkin, then we got to take a stand and stand our ground and not support it. But 51,000 people still showed up to Texas to watch Canelo, Liam Smith. We all knew the outcome. You know what I mean? Target practice, sparring session for Canelo, and people still tuned into it, right? And it still did all right pay-per-view numbers, 300, 400,000, whatever. So as long as that keeps happening, the promoters are like, cool, we can still get over on this market. And that's what it is. So it is part of the media. We got to get more intelligent people that know the sport and media, but the fans also have to hold those media people accountable. Like, it it's funny as hell to me because people say, "Oh, Ego, you're so biased. You're sucking his dick. You're sucking that dick." You know what I'm saying? But then when I go to block them because they start talking reckless and they're talking crazy about dicks and stuff like that, and I go to block them, right before you go to block, there's a YouTube shows you the screen, and you can see some of the people's activity, and they're liking these other channels that I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, or they're liking videos that says Andre Ward is a bitch, but then you say I'm a dick sucker, so that already tells me where your head is at. You're not giving nobody a fair shake. You're liking videos that people made saying Floyd Mayweather's the biggest cherry picker and a bitch, and he's IV Floyd and all this stupid shit. Danny Garcia sucks asshole, and Angel Garcia raped him. You know what I mean? Just stupid shit. So as long as you guys keep entertaining stuff like that, then that's what's gonna be part of the media. You know what I mean? Fans gotta start taking a stand. Know who's doing what for boxing in a positive fashion. Some people, they promote double standards and stereotypes and racism in their videos and stuff. It's okay to talk about race and boxing. A lot of people get scared. I'll talk about whatever I want to talk about on my channel, right? But some people promote like this agenda, you know what I'm saying? And it starts with the fans. You guys got to stop supporting it. I'm not telling nobody who to listen to or watch. Don't watch me if you don't like me. It's very simple, but we got to start having some integrity in the sport. Same thing with the fights and the promoters. You're not getting the fights you want to see, don't tune in. Hit them where it hurts. Next question is from Owen Brown. Why isn't there more talk and push for a potential Ward versus Stevenson fight either next or later this year? Well, I mean, later this year is the year. It's like Christmas and shit. Like the year's almost over to unify the belt. So that's not even realistic, first of all. Oh yeah, we gonna fight on New Year's Eve when the ball drop. Ward and Stevenson that doesn't make sense. As far as next year, I think probably there's not more talk because Ward's new to the division. He had the 3-fight deal with HBO, took out Kovalev's mandatory, fought Alexander Brand, and then he just fought Kovalev, and it was a tough, tight, close fight. So that's what's on everyone's mind, a rematch. There's a rematch clause in the fight. So as much as people want to see Ward versus Stevenson, I mean, were we going to just ignore the rematch clause? You know what I'm saying? That doesn't even make sense. So your question kind of doesn't make sense. Of course, people want to see these fights. And then the other thing is Stevenson and Kovalev. They were in talks or talked about or linked for years, and that fight didn't happen. So I think people have generally lost hope or faith that Stevenson will be in some of these top level fights because since Chad Dawson, he hasn't really fought. I mean, I think there's a couple cool, like the Andres from Far was a good name. Thomas Top Dog Williams coming off a good stoppage win of Edwin Rodriguez. There's some good names, but some of the fights he didn't need to fight those people. He fought Tom Carpensy and you know what I'm saying, some other guy in Canada, you know what I'm saying? So he has some fights like that too. So that's probably why people aren't talking about it because we haven't really seen Stevenson in some of those top level fights with champions, and not to mention Ward and Kovalev may have to rematch next. So it doesn't make sense to get ahead of ourselves and start talking about that, and it can't even happen. Next question is from Jos Valtierra. If Canelo and Chavez Jr. becomes official, what are the chances Chavez Jr. stays disciplined and makes weight to beat Canelo? I don't know. I can't speak for another man, but I think the chances are greater because of the type of rivalry it would be. You know what I'm saying? For bragging rights of all of Mexico. So I think that alone will push Chavez Jr. to be a little bit more focused, you know what I mean? So he can get the respect of the Mexican public if he were to beat Canelo, you know what I'm saying? Or stop Canelo or something like that. So I think that alone should, but I'm not him. I'm not his team. He makes erratic decisions, switches trainers and coaches and stuff. So maybe it's not enough. Maybe he's just lazy. I don't know. But I personally think hopefully that will be enough to motivate him to do better. Next question, Easy Does It 1980. Why are people criticizing Canelo for jumping 2 weight divisions to fight Chavez Jr., but praise Brook for jumping up 2 divisions to fight Golovkin? Ooh, that's a good point. Especially considering Canelo will be at a larger weight disadvantage on fight night than Brook was. I don't know about that. Maybe because Chavez Jr. is big and rehydrates. I don't know. Like, you can't please everybody. People are still going to complain. Some people are still salty that Canelo vacated the belt, so that's all they know. You know what I mean? And some boxing fans are ignorant like that. You know what I mean? When Andre Ward started fighting multiple times a year, they were still calling him inactive Ward. Even though he fought Barrera and Alexander Brand and was scheduled to fight Kovalev, they still said he's inactive. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes if there's a certain stigma, they just want to keep it as long as they can. You know what I mean? I seen when Floyd Mayweather showed the contract online, I'm fighting Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? Showed us the contract. They still said he was ducking Pacquiao. Like, what are you talking? He just showed you the contract. He said it's a done deal. Pacquiao said it's a done deal. And some of them same fans still said Floyd Mayweather was ducking Pacquiao and wasn't going to fight him. He was going to pull out with injury. He was going to find a way out of the fight and get the money team to jump back. You know what I mean? Saying stupid shit. So, Danny Garcia, when he fought Rod Salka, I agree. That was a terrible fight. Should have never happened. You play with the man's life when he's up against it like that. But he went on to do other stuff in his career, and they still bring up Rod Salka as if his whole career is shit and his whole resume is shit. So, ultimately, I think that's what it is. Canelo, he's not been in the limelight in 2016 in a positive light based on decisions him and his team has made, like vacating. A lot of people think he's scared of Triple G. So now they're like, well, why are you going to fight Chavez Jr. at 165? And their emotions get in the way. And they're not looking at details, or they just look at Chavez Jr. You know what I mean? Just very, very casual way of looking. Chavez Jr. lazy. It's like one word approach. Lazy. No discipline. Undisciplined. And that's all they're looking at. So they're thinking it's an easy fight and stuff like that. Next question is from Marco_is_king. Do you think Jim Lampley was really rude to Larry Merchant when they would commentate fights together? I can't think of an example. I think Jim Lampley's rude to some of the people he doesn't like that box. Like Rigondeaux or whoever. You know what I'm saying? Whoever he doesn't like, Bradley or whoever, when Bradley's fighting a Pacquiao or a guy that he's known to love, bang, bang, again, bang, you know what I mean? I think he's rude to those fighters. And I think same thing with Larry Merchant. It's like they have a horse in the race. Larry Merchant was drilling Floyd Mayweather. That's why Floyd Mayweather cussed him out. Larry Merchant used to ask Floyd stuff like, why do you think this fight was so boring to the fan? Like, what kind of fucking question is that to the winner? You know what I'm saying? After the Castillo fight or after this fight, he did the same thing with Lennox Lewis. So it's not just Floyd's style. He did the same thing with Lennox Lewis after the Klitschko win. He's like, oh, Klitschko was beating you, and why do you think? So I don't remember them being rude to each other per se, but I remember them being rude to certain fighters that weren't on their favorites list. Next question, Lalo CBRR. Do you ever sleep? Please answer no. Sleep is for broke people. Next question. Shark that 7. Hey, Ego, I am a rabid boxing fan and I'm clamoring for a decision by Team Brooke. Me too. Can't wait till Spence gets his hands on him. Don't want to see Brooke Khan. Yeah, I mean, if Khan didn't get knocked out brutally by Canelo, then that fight would be really desired still. But since that I told, and that's why I didn't want to see. Same thing with Kell Brook. He got his eye broken by Triple G. Now I don't really care about the, you know what I'm saying? Like, you try to push it too long and then the fights lose their luster. They both coming off stoppages and now they want to fight each other. Like, why couldn't you fight each other when only one of you had been stopped and it was a couple fights ago? Now you both lost and got stopped by bigger guys. Now we get to see the fight. You know what I'm saying? That's like getting a girl in high school. She was fine as fuck, no kids, and everybody wanted her. She was like the prom queen and homecoming queen and shit. And you don't get her in high school. She wasn't checking for you. She didn't want you. And then you see her later in life. She has 2 kids. Her body's not the same. And, you know what I mean, 5, 6 years out of high school, you see her and then now she wants to hook up with you. That shit is not the same. I wanted her when she was fine. Her body was tight and she had that coke figure. And she was the prom queen and homecoming queen and shit. You know what I mean? When she was Miss Congeniality. I don't want her now. Now that she's been ran through and got kids and loosey goosey throwing a hot dog down the hallway. Fuck her. Don't want to see, I got sidetracked, I'm sorry. Don't want to see Brooke Khan. Don't want to see Kell fighting anybody but Errol. Damn. Tell me how you feel. My question is, have you heard any updates on how, what, and when they are making the fight? No, because Kell Brook got an extension, medical extension, through the IBF that gives him up until late February to decide what the fuck he's gonna do. So there is no update. There's nothing to update. It's just fingers crossed and keep waiting. I think it's like February 24th through the 26th. That's when the medical extension is up. And then they have to decide or announce or whatever. Ezekiel just got another major payday. I don't know who that is. Don't want to hear the casuals talking about money. Make the fight now, please. I agree. Errol Spence, he deserves it. Everyone you put, he's going to fight Ponamarov, and Abel Sanchez didn't want that work. So he fought Leonard Bundu, and then he knocked him out better than Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman didn't even knock him out. Errol Spence knocked him out in front of 6 million people. Errol Spence beat Chris Algieri better than Pacquiao because he stopped him. He beat him better than Ruslan Provodnikov because he stopped him and finished him. He deserves it. He's an Olympian. He's climbing up the ladder, going through the tests he has to go through. Give him his shot. And the final question. Hamoud Ali. Do you think Canelo could cope with Chavez Jr. power? Keep up the good work. And he's going to have to if he wants to win the fight. Chavez Jr. is going to keep coming. He has a hell of a chin, and he has to find a way to outbox and discourage him. Canelo has flat feet. Makes the fight very interesting. Canelo would be moving up 11 pounds. Makes the fight very interesting. So it's possible. We haven't really seen Canelo hurt too much, especially in recent fights. He was in there with a puncher like Angulo. Edeslandi Lara has a snappy punch with his left hand. And, you know what I mean, Floyd has precision, speed, power. And we haven't really seen him hurt too much. Cotto, no, none of them guys really hurt him. But new weight class, new rules. So he's going to have to cope with it. If he signs on the dotted line, he's going to have to accept that. Let me know how you guys think I did this week. I tried to get to a lot of questions. Monday mail day. I think this is the last one. I don't know if there's another Monday. I don't have a calendar, but this might be the last one. If it is, I'll see you guys in 2017 and check for the regular updates and stuff on the channel. Hope everyone had a good holiday. Let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.